I've been kind of wrestling with this question about what's the real, I don't know if you call it the meaning to life or purpose in life or how you should live your life, right? The idea of is it better to be virtuous? Is it better to try and live a quote unquote good life where you think about others and you try and improve the lives of others as well as yourself? Versus is it a zero-sum game? Is it you do the best you can do for you, try and accumulate as much power and pleasure, happiness for yourself, and don't worry about other people? A more animalistic kind of follow your instincts, human nature approach that says just do what feels right, do what you want to do the things that are best for you, versus seemingly a more evolved, complex approach to life that says really try and understand what is good in life and aspire towards that, work towards that, because it will be work. The way our minds are designed, the way our instincts and our human nature is, we seemingly are compelled to act more in the latter form, to just look out for ourselves, to just try and gain power and exploit that power as best we can. So what's the right answer? And in a prior video, I kind of framed it as Socrates' kind of virtuous approach versus a Nietzsche, just will to power approach. And I'm wrestling with it because, as I've said previously, aspirationally, I want it to be the former. I want it to be that you should live the good life. That feels like the right answer. That's how we should approach life. But the evidence or the logic, right, as you start to lay it all out, seemingly suggests otherwise, right? It seems illogical that it would be so difficult for us to act in the way that we're supposed to act, that our tendencies, our mental heuristics and inclinations, our instincts push us in a direction that's opposite of the good life. That seems to be illogical. The most obvious explanation to that is, well, that's the way you're supposed to act. You should act more like a base animal, right? Will to power, Nietzsche type approach. But that just feels incomplete to me. It's not that it's wrong, right? And if you think of it in terms of how I always talk about the figurative math that we do, right? The logic of our minds and how we approach things, and in general, you could think of it as there is second grade level algebra that exists that says 3 + 2 = 5. That math isn't wrong. 3 + 2 does equal 5, and that is true. It's very basic, it's very simple, but it's true. But because it's true doesn't mean that calculus and trigonometry and geometry and all other types of much more sophisticated math don't exist. They exist as well, and they also are true. And if you're trying to solve a very complex problem, they are much more useful tools to get you to that answer versus basic second grade level algebra, that PhD level knowledge of calculus or statistics or whatever it is, geometry. If you're trying to do some sort of astrophysics that you're trying to do, or build a spaceship or get somebody to the moon, the algebra is not going to get you there. Again, it'll be right. That math will be right, but it's not going to get you there. So I use that as kind of the parallel of how I'm thinking about this to say, if you take that approach that, we should just follow our instincts, it's almost suggesting that you should just stop at second grade level math. There's no reason to go beyond it. And I can't imagine that stagnant kind of complacent approach to life is the right one. That we have the capacity to evolve and to do more and to do better, right? To do well for ourselves, to build off the strengths that we have, but not look at it in that very simplistic way that we do that in spite of everybody else and we don't care about anybody else. Why can't we do it in such a way in which we try and make the world a better place as a whole? I get it's idealistic. I get it may not be something that you ever fully achieve, but to aspire to that and to make progress towards that would seem to be the right way to go, and it would seem to be more in line with appreciating the principle that there is more complex ways of doing things. We don't just have to rely on kind of the first principles base level of how things work. And if you take that approach, why would you only apply it to human behavior and how we act? Why would that be the only area where things don't evolve and don't get better and improve and adjust and change? Why would that be the only area? Why does everything else seemingly evolve? Animals evolve, the planet's evolved, aspects of us have evolved, right? How our bodies to stand upright and to walk. It seems almost illogical to take the mindset of, you pick some arbitrary point in time and say, well, that's how our minds function then. That's how our society functioned then. That's what human nature was then. Therefore, you should never move beyond that. But sure, the upright walking thing, that you can adopt, right? That can get better over time. How? Why? That seems arbitrary to me. So it's difficult for me to tell if I'm making this case objectively, or again, if it's because I want to believe in the more virtuous life as the right one. But as I try and lay out the logic and check it, right, I'm trying to see both sides. I'm seeing the logic that, on the one hand, it seems somewhat unlikely that we would have to work so hard to live the way we're meant to live. I get that. But on the other hand, it also seems very hard to believe that just because it's not our first level inclination, just because it's not the most basic thing we're inclined to do, that it's wrong, that we're not capable of a more complex way of life and approach to life.